Um, all right, so my name is Leo. I am a friend of Yui, and I live in Washington, D.C. I work in nonprofit, and I do some comedy on the side. So Yui asked me to facilitate this very serious conversation, but with a twist of a comedian. So I'm gonna try my best to do that today. I will each give you guys a chance to introduce and maybe introduce that to a person who don't know you, and we're recording this, so don't feel like you have to do it right all the time. We can cut and spice it up, don't worry. Yeah. Okay, so who want to start?
I can start.
Sure.
So hi everyone, this is Yui. I know that Leo and G Caroline already know me, so hi Damien and hi Angelique. Very nice to meet you both, and thank you so much for jumping on this call. Also thank you G Caroline for jumping on the call with us as well, and of course our star Leo for being the facilitator for the discussion today. So we're just very happy to sort of put this fundraiser together for the two very wonderful organizations doing very important work in Vietnam. And so with that, I'll pass it on to the next person.
You can identify who it is.
So yeah, I will say hello. I'm Damien from Saigon Children's Charity. I'm a British guy who's been living in Vietnam for the last 6 years or so, and running Saigon Children's Charity for I think 3.5 years now. And I've been in this part of Southeast Asia for a bit more than 10 years. But I settled in Vietnam because it's just such an incredible place to be. And I was very delighted to hear the news this morning that you'll be editing this broadcast before it goes out, because hopefully you will make me seem witty and intelligent, which I cannot guarantee most of the time.
So far, you're doing great. All right.
There he is.
Yes, Caroline.
I'm Caroline. I am the founder and executive director of Catalyst Foundation. We are a very, very small organization that has been doing community development work to prevent human trafficking for the last 21 years now in Vietnam. I just recently moved to Vietnam in the middle of the pandemic, after I got permission for special, what am I? I think I'm an expert. I'm an expert in something. I convinced them that I'm an expert in something, so they gave me a visa. So yeah, my children are adopted from Vietnam, which is how I started Catalyst, and they are now 23 and don't need mom. So it was perfect for a reason for me to come over here. We currently work in one community at a time. In our current community, which we've been in since 2014, it is in a small hamlet called Dum Boc in Ninh Thuan province. And we work with ethnic minorities. This ethnic minority group is the Ragalai, which is one of the smallest in the country. And we work with their communities, their families. So our work is based on what the children needs and then building on that. So if a child needs to go to school, why do they need to go to school? We're trying to address the why instead of just figuring out what we can put a Band-Aid on. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But I love Saigon Children's Charity. I think I've been buying Christmas cards from them for, it feels like decades.
Oh, really? Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Wonderful to hear. It's always nice.
I have a stack of cards, so it's a great charity.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Angelique?
Yeah. So I'm Angelique. So I work with Damien. I'm the head of fundraising and communication for Saigon Children's Charity. And so I've been in Vietnam for 8 years, and I joined the organization at the same time of Damien. And yes, Saigon Children has been working lately more and more on helping families going through COVID-19. So currently we are running a COVID backpack initiative. It means that we are bringing to families in lockdown area foods, but we also try to bring books and toys where we can. But right now there is big restriction about what you can deliver in the district or not. So we are focusing on foods. And we are also currently trying to raise awareness about the need of support for children with online learning, because everyone goes back to school online, but lots of kids don't have access to computers or smartphones or tablets, or they can't pay the internet. So we are trying to raise funds to allow children from disadvantaged families, from low background, to be able to afford online learning in a way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Angelique, and thank you, Caroline, Damien, for introducing. Caroline, convincing other people you're an expert at something is an expertise by itself. So I very much get that. and Angelique, I left Saigon 8 years ago, and you came 8 years ago. So I'm very happy that I left my country in safe hands.
Me also, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys for sharing some of the initiative. We will get to that a little bit more, but first I would like to introduce, I mean, like, we don't know Yui, but for you to talk a little bit about the Đùm Bọc and what is the fundraiser, and everyone here.
Yeah, so thank you, Leo. So just a little bit background about Đùm Bọc. So it's Đùm Bọc is that the name itself, it comes from a Vietnamese proverb. It's called lá lành đùm lá rách, meaning healthy leaves should protect tattered ones. And so that's kind of what we, Thảo and myself, my partner Thảo and myself, decided to do, because we kind of joke among ourselves that this fundraiser is kind of powered by 70% of hope, 20% of helplessness, and then 10% of grief, because there's a lot going on in Vietnam, and our families are still there. And so at the core, the Đùm Bọc fundraiser is to help provide any some sort of relief to the folks in Vietnam via Saigon Children and also Catalyst Foundation. But also another component of the Đùm Bọc fundraiser is inspired by a movement in African American culture, the FUBU movement, where it's for us and by us. And this is focuses specifically on the Vietnamese diaspora. And so we're gathering Vietnamese creative, Vietnamese food makers in New York City and also across the US to sort of come together and put together this fundraiser. So in a lot of way, it's for us, for the Vietnamese people in Vietnam, but it's by us, but also Vietnamese people from the diaspora from across the ocean. So that's kind of the ideas behind the Đùm Bọc fundraiser.
Beautiful, beautiful, and it's really put into words the kind of work that we're trying to do here. We're trying to protect the tattered leaves, and with that, I would like to say that in this conversation there will be two parts. One is talk about Saigon Children and Catalyst Foundation's work, and the other part is talk about COVID and how it has changed the landscape in Vietnam. So why don't we start with something that is a little bit more uplifting, more hopeful. We will get to the hopelessness and grief later, but right now let's start with 70% hope. And I would like to maybe ask Damien or Angelique, what are some of the things that you are currently doing? What is something that you've done in the past that you would really like to share? And like focusing on the joy, the hope that you bring, and also share with us some of the challenges, because we know it's not always rosy, and easy. So please spill your mind and let us have a peek.
Sure. I will go first, only because then that means that Angelique has the opportunity to pick up the ball that I will inevitably drop and get to all of the important stuff. I have a tendency to ramble on enthusiastically until somebody stops me, so do be aware of that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, working at a children's education charity most of the time is a pretty hopeful job. And even when you find children and communities who are suffering, you have that joy of knowing that you can help make a difference. And of course, we're constantly surrounded by donors who really care about the children of Vietnam and who want to do what they can to support them, and always finding inventive ways to support Saigon Children's Charity. So actually, I feel incredibly lucky most days because I have a job that surrounds me with wonderful people, and we get to do really incredible work. So, you know, before COVID, which feels like a very long time ago now, you know, an average kind of day for Saigon Children's Charity would be, you know, some of the team would be out in the rural areas, often the Mekong Delta, but also across the rest of Vietnam, building schools in rural areas. So where there's only schools that were very dilapidated and dangerous and unhealthy and, you know, not really fit for keeping livestock in, but the only schools available to many local rural communities. So we would go in and we would be building beautiful new concrete schools with you know, windows and safe electricity, and keeping the you know, the rain out, the children in, a lovely playground. And we averaged, I think, around one new school every 5 weeks. So that was a big part of what we were doing. But, you know, alongside that, also our scholarships program. So we supported children who are very disadvantaged, either by poverty or disability or other factors in their life, often with a kind of ethnic minority or gender dimension as well. And giving them support potentially from kindergarten through to the graduating from university if they needed it for that length of time. And we have a team of social workers who support those kids. So it's not just a case of giving money and hoping that fixes all the problems. They actually have a social worker who walks alongside them throughout their education to make sure that whatever problems they face, whatever difficulties they have, we can find a solution. So our kind of tagline is removing barriers to education. And that's basically what our team of specialists in doing, is finding what is the barrier for that individual child on that individual day or week or month or year, and fixing it as best as we can so that child can continue in education with the view that they will have a brighter future and a more secure and prosperous future than their parents and their grandparents have had. You know, often these are quite disadvantaged rural communities. So it's been something that we've done since we were established in 1992. So I think something like 45,000 scholarships in that time. And for those kids who are not going to follow an academic route for one reason or another, we do vocational training. So kids can choose from, you know, a range of occupations where we know there's going to be a good future demand for what they're doing. But again, we have a team of social workers. We also teach them English. We teach them IT. We give them opportunity to take part in arts classes, whether it's dancing, singing, art, to kind of relax and unwind, because, you know, not everything should be purely focused on academic learning, although that's a difficult thing to tell Vietnamese parents. I don't need to tell you guys that, you know. And we also have a special needs education program, which has grown to be a much bigger part of what we do. So that's helping kids with physical or other disabilities. And most recently, we've expanded and we established the Vietnam Autism Alliance, so bringing together you know, hospitals and universities and teacher training to basically make it so that the whole country has a framework for supporting children on the autism spectrum, with, you know, therapy, education, everything like that. And one final thing I'll say before I hand over is that we're a British charity. I'm the only British person, which is why I end up talking too much for, you know, representing the charity. But actually, as an organization, we are, I think, 95% staffed by Vietnamese, predominantly from this part of Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City, where we're based. Although we have a good spread of Northerners and people with strange accents from the central region as well. And I think we're 80% female. So when you see me chatting to you, you know, as a white English guy, I'm the least representative person from the organization. So I can only apologize for that. So,
Damien doesn't speak for Saigon children at all.
It's so true. So true.
Well,
so I should probably
absolutely.
let Anjali jump in, because she'll be going, oh, he hasn't said this, he hasn't said that, he missed it. So
here's a chance. Please.
You did great. I mean, Okay, the only thing that maybe I can share, you asked for a story of hope. And so my story of hope during COVID, during all the work we've been doing, it's when I was asking our team, the girls, okay, can you reach out to our kids to see how they're doing and everything? And then they came back to me, okay, oh, there is this story of Van. And so Van is a university student of us, and so she's received a scholarship from Saigon children from 8 year, I think. And last year, we did a partnership with Microsoft and KPMG Vietnam, and we gave her a laptop.
Ooh.
And so since COVID-19 hit, Van has been volunteering with the government and joined a volunteer COVID-19 task force. And she's using this computer to enter data, because you know Vietnam has been doing manual contact tracing, and so she's spending her days entering all the data about, okay, all the F0, F1 to help contact tracing. And she's very, very proud of that. And that makes me so happy to see that, okay, because of the scholarship, she got to go to university, she got to be computer literate. We give her a computer that's coming from this partnership between Microsoft, KPMG, and Saigon children, and it's helping fight COVID-19 in Vietnam. And
Beautiful.
She was very proud of it, and it's giving her a feeling of doing something during this pandemic. She's not stuck at home, and we were also proud of Van. And so yes, so all of these stories are keeping me going. Okay, we will keep on doing our best to have more Van.
Exactly, and I'm sure there's hundreds more of Van that the organization and the community has helped. But you know, we can listen to a story like that all day. So I'm very happy that you shared that concrete story that was beautiful and come full circle, that she's helping her community because she was assist when she grow up and have all these tools that she need to help her community. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Could you share something that the Catalyst Foundations are doing, and also, you know, some stories that you could share to us about individual that you know you helped before?
Sure. Well, like Damien said, pre-COVID feels like a long time ago. Pre-COVID, we had programs very similar to Saigon Children's Charity. Like I said earlier, our mission is to build communities to prevent human trafficking by putting them at lower risk. And that starts with educating a child and making sure that that child can read and write and escape the bad guys if the bad guys come, right? It's as simple as that for us. But in asking the why, it's, you know, it's a lot about poverty. It's a lot about families that have been refused or denied their own self-dignity and self-identity because they're ethnic minorities. So they're not even allowed to go to school or have housing or, you know, even have health care. So they've never been counted, and we're the first organization that's come in that says, well, we're committing this time with you so that your voice can be heard, and we'll be your voice until you want to stand up and scream on your own, and then we'll gladly step away. So our agreement with every family that's in our community is that we're not permanent. We're not the permanent solution. You are. So you have to invest in it as much as we do, not financially, because we can do that. But you put in the hard work. You get your children to school. You come to community education classes. You know, you tell us what you need, and then we'll let you know if we can meet those needs. And they have never had the opportunity. They have never had the opportunity to stand up for themselves, to ask for something that they needed. One of our stories is when we first came to this group in Dum Boc, they were telling us that it was hard to get the kids to school, right? The school was right there, but it was hard to either pick them up or drop them off and then go and get water. And we're like, that sounds weird. Where are you going to go get water? Suida is the hamlet that they're in, and Suida literally means under the mountain. It's at the base of the mountain. And because they were where they were living, they lived in these shanties next to these big homes owned by the kin. And the kin had running water in their house, but they weren't giving running water to the families that lived on their little yard under this cardboard tarp. So our families were walking up the mountain to carry 2 buckets of water, to collect 2 buckets of water from the waterfall, and then carry it back down. And that's what they would use to cook and clean and everything, from to bathe or wash or everything. And that round trip was around 6 hours.
Wow.
6 hours for 2 buckets of water. I wouldn't do it. I don't
Yeah.
know how they did it, because I tried that mountain and it was crazy. And so the first thing we said was, well, why don't you ask for water? Well, we didn't know we could ask for water. Can we ask for water? I'm like, sure, ask me. And so they said, yeah. And so the very first thing we did, and one of the main things that we used to do pre-COVID, was have volunteer groups come from all over the world and do a week's worth of card-free labor alongside the community, with the agreement from the government. And one of the very first groups that did it was, we carried giant pipes of water up the mountain, put it into a waterfall, and connected it down 2 kilometers down to the base of the hamlet. And then we installed pipes to every little shanty in the hamlet.
Wow.
And it took, I mean, we had 27 volunteers, and then we had the entire community, all the adults said, well, we can do this for 4 days with you. And so, 100 people were working together, and we did it all in 4 days. And at the end of 4 days, they were like astonished, but that's all they had to do was ask for water.
Wow.
So it and because they have water, so now parents feel like, yes, now I can send my child to school. I can wash her face before she leaves. I can wash her clothes before, to wear. And water is just one of these essential basic human rights that they were denied of. And that's our job. And Jamie was saying is that, if we get to the root of the why, we can find a solution for it. We have the people power, right? Hopefully the reason that we're in the position we're in is because we know a little bit more, and we know a few more people than they do. And we can gather the funds that are necessary, and we can instill that hope that they never had before.
Absolutely. I think it's also very empowering to let them know that the power of asking, before they weren't entertained the idea of asking for water, and now it's become a staple things that they could enjoy, and the children could focus on school, and the families could focus on providing. So I think that's a great story, and that just tell people who's going to listen to this or watching this that you can help financially, but the organization are the one who is carry out this work, and money can't change everything, and it's certainly a tools and certainly things that will get us what we need, but people running these organizations like you all are critical to the well-being and the empowerment of the communities that you are serving as well. So thank you for that.
And I would add too that money isn't the answer, right? It is the people. It is us on the ground that's saying, let me figure out what you need by you telling me your story, by listening to you. These families and these children don't often get the time to share their story and to really listen to what they want. Is it really, we can't really answer that usually by, oh, let me just give you 100,000, Vietnamese dong, and that'll fix it, right? And then I can walk away. There are many charities, many other great charities probably, that can fix things, that can walk in with a check and say, okay, I'm done, thanks, good luck. But, between, I think, I for sure for Catalyst, and from what I know about Saigon Children's Charity, we're in it for the long term. We've been here for 20 plus years, right? We're in it to build communities so that we don't have to be their answer. But for so long, there's so many people that are living in this extreme misery, right? The gap between who has water and who doesn't have water seems to be so wide, yet it's only a meter.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I may just add very quickly that the story that you all share, you know, in a very serendipitous way, kind of come back to this idea of empowerment and FUBU, it's just for us and by us. You know, these communities feeling empowered to the point where they can actually realize that they can do things for themselves, you know, by themselves, which is something that is so powerful. And, you know, I appreciate, you know, both groups for doing all the great work on the ground for all the communities.
Exactly. So the point here is to support an organization that have been here for a long time, and it's been here for a long haul, which is y'all. And also, people are the answer. No charities are the ultimate answer. They're just there to help people, to empowering them to where they would need to be. But we are doing this fundraiser to lend a small helping hand to the organization who has been here and will be here for a very long time. Okay, I think that's enough hope for today. Check. Okay, and now let's talk about, you know, let's get real for a moment. Let's get to the challenges. Let's get to COVID. What have you seen is the change and before and after COVID, and how you deal with them? Can you share with us some of your solutions, some of your challenges, so that we could know how hard it is to do these kind of things in this environment? Caroline, can we start with you this time?
Sure. Definitely the hardest for our community is the lockdown itself, the inability to leave the hamlet and to find work. Our community adults are usually mostly uneducated and illiterate. So they're hard laborers, right? They are going out to find where they can help with construction or farms or collecting firewood. And, you know, the one thing that Vietnam has been good at is the lockdown works, right? If we lock you down and close the hamlet, you can't get sick and the sickness can't enter, which is great for some areas. But for our community, it was really hard without that ability to leave and find work. That meant that they couldn't find income. Finding without money, then you couldn't buy food. So our immediate need was to make sure, one, they stay healthy, that the bills are paid and the water keeps flowing. Two was to make sure they had enough food and that they weren't in some sort of emergency need, right? If we could keep families nourished, that was one way, what we thought was one way of preventing getting sick. There was no way we were going to prevent them from, you know, distancing themselves. There was no 3 feet apart based on where they live. But we could definitely provide food if we could get them food. So that was the hardest. And then, you know, when kids are bored and they can't go to school and they can't run to the playground, you know, we had to even close our community center and the playground because, you know, it's when COVID started, no one knew how it was spreaded. So they didn't have anywhere to go. So we were just trying to keep the kids from not getting into trouble. And, you know, and that's hard. And we were communicating on our staff. We have 3 community members that live and are part of the community. They are the community. So they were like keeping tabs for us while our social workers were on the phone with them and stuff. But our solution, our COVID response was how much food can we deliver? How often can we deliver it? And then if there's a medical emergency, how do we get them medical care? Other than that, that's really all we could do. We didn't provide extra money for, you know, to supplement an income or anything. We just made sure that they didn't have to buy food. And so we did monthly food distributions. We have been doing monthly food distributions anyway for all of our students, but we just upped the ante, try to have enough funds. Our funds were totally directly related to volunteer groups and activities and events throughout the year. So without those activities and events, we had no more money coming in. So these little fundraisers actually add up really well for us because we were looking at it. It cost us about $1,200 to $1,700 a month to feed our 54 families. And if we could just get, maybe $2,500 a month, I could keep my staff fully employed and I could provide food. And that has been our goal until this pandemic has figured itself out.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. We love to help by any way doing this to Catalyst Foundation. Damien and Angelique, you want to answer that questions?
Yeah, I mean, not dissimilar to Caroline, everything has to kind of be led by the people you're helping. There's no point, helping the way you think best and then learning afterwards, actually, it wasn't the right thing to do. So, absolutely right. You need to have that dialogue with the people that you're working with. And it is interesting because for us, it's kind of been a journey over the whole time of the pandemic. I remember coming back from Tet Holiday in 2020. It was obviously early in the year, and coming back into Vietnam, and it was just right on the cusp of there had been cases in in China, and there was concerns it would spread. I think most people that certainly a lot of people from Europe and the US were fairly relaxed about it. But I think the experience that Vietnam and other countries has had meant that they were far more alive to the risk of a virus spreading after they'd had SARS. So I remember being at the airport, getting on the flight back to Ho Chi Minh City, coming home. And it was kind of divided between a bunch of Westerners who were there kind of looking fairly casual. Some of us, we had the face masks on really to reassure other people who were on the plane. I always think you should be mindful of everyone. And then some of the people, coming back from the same place as us, who were obviously from Vietnam, with a face mask, a face shield, latex gloves. And we thought, wow, this is very significant. We haven't seen this before. And of course, we came back to Vietnam and the Vietnamese government had the same thought, basically. This is very serious. We will address it very seriously from day one. And so, of course, we went into a lockdown before most countries in the world were even, having this on the news. And so we realized, okay, this is a very serious lockdown. Most offices, businesses are closed, factories are closing. We'll obviously need to respond to this. And of course, we got our social workers to phone something like 1,500 of the families that we help and say, okay, what do you need? And they all came back and they said food. And so we said, fine. So we raised money and we distributed food to them, typically to get them through at least 1 month. So 30 kgs of rice and tinned fish and dried meat and things that would, substantially get them through. And it was exactly what they asked for. And mercifully, that was quite a short lockdown. There were no cases of COVID really in Vietnam, or very few, and certainly no deaths. So it passed. And then we went into this kind of what looks like now a kind of golden period of like 15, 16 months of life in Vietnam, where we couldn't leave because, if you did, you couldn't come back because the borders were effectively closed, apart from to experts like Caroline, who can talk their way into the country with their expertise. But, it felt like a really wonderful position to be in because, we could see the difficulties that other countries were having, but here it wasn't too bad. It was strange, but it was still moving on with life. But then, of course, there's been a few little mini outbreaks and deaths that occurred in Da Nang. But then this fourth wave with the Delta variant of COVID has just been absolutely devastating. It went from, almost 1% on people's radar to this is absolutely everything. And this is, devastating to, people's lives and people's ability to work. And of course, the factories closed, and in Binh Duong, which is the big industrial area just outside Ho Chi Minh City, and of course in Ho Chi Minh City itself, huge proportion of people are employed either in hospitality, which is one of the first big areas that suffered in terms of people's earning potential, or they're working in the enterprise zones, in the factories, in the other facilities. And, now as we sit here today, many people have been out of work for at least 3.5 months, in some cases, 6, 9 months, those in hospitality, even a couple of years. And, that need has changed. And so we keep going back to the people we help and saying, what do you need now? What do you need now? And what's changed is it's gone from just being food to being food, but also support for children's emotional well-being. Many of them are quite isolated. They're locked down in a room with their whole family at home. They're not able to see their friends. They're not able to go to school. And so parents have started saying we need more support with helping our children through this time. And so we've responded with books and games and toys and handbook of advice for the parents on supporting their kids' emotional well-being. And then more recently that's developed, so still of course food, support for the kids, but now the idea is that most kids will go back to school online. But of course, there's at least 1.5 million kids who don't have access to online learning. Even those that might have access to online learning, they might have one of their parents might have a phone. How far does that go with getting you through a school day and 4 lessons and homework, and especially if you've got siblings and that's the only phone in the house. So it's a real inequality of access, and that's going to have a longer effect. Of course, during COVID, especially here in Ho Chi Minh City, the number of cases and the deaths has just gone up and up and up, and that's been scary for everyone, and it's really affected people. I mean, of course, Saigon and the cities here, people live so close together, so densely packed into their homes and the other places that the risk of it spreading, even with people staying at home, is still so great. And so the lockdown has just been hugely strict. I think the last 21 days has been a 24-hour curfew. So basically you don't go out at all. They brought in, I think, 10,000 soldiers to help distribute food in this time with all of the shops closed. But of course it's been, the supply chains are so badly damaged now that people have been going without easy access to food for months and months. The food has become harder to get hold of and it's become more expensive. And so, we've gone from a charity who spent all of our time doing, these kind of development programs to essentially spending 90% of our time and energy on just getting food and support to families around the city, around Vinh Yum, around the Mekong Delta. And it's become a 7-day-a-week job, very long days. But everything has to be done, via our social workers. We keep speaking to the people we're helping and saying, what do you need now? What do you need today? What do you need tomorrow? And it's just responding to that changing need. And, it's wonderful to be able to help, but it's overwhelming at the moment because the scale of need and the desperation that some people are feeling is just vast. And so, as Caroline said, it's become harder to raise money because we can't do events, we can't do most of the activities, we can't meet with our donors, we can't, do anything that we would do in a normal time. And so that's why, fundraisers like yours are absolutely our lifeblood now. It's the engagement of people who, care enough to put their hand in their pocket or to support us in any other way, that are making it possible to feed families now. I think, figures yesterday were something like 22,000 people that we have provided food for, many of those for several months. And it's a huge logistical undertaking, but it's vital. I mean, people need food, and our hope is that fundraisers like yours help us look after these people now. And the view is that, when the lockdown ends, hopefully people can recover more easily. This is kind of a traumatic time for many people. And so we just want to mitigate that as much as possible so that when, this lockdown does end, people can get back to normal as quickly as possible. So yeah, it's a big job right now. And it does feel at times overwhelming, but, the element of hope that I will finish on is that, we are keeping people going and we are keeping people hopeful for their own futures and a return to normal and a return to good times.
Absolutely. Angelique, anything you want to add?
No, I think he talked already about everything.
Okay.
Too much, right?
Just
Too much, yeah.
sure.
That's Angelique's.
Angelique is the unofficial timekeeper of our recording. He's like, no, we gotta
Okay.
move on.
He knows.
Okay.
He can read me. He knows when I'm making the eyes that telling me to stop now.
I was looking for some type of hand signal. I was like, oh, maybe like this. But it's not. Exactly. You guys have been in too many Zoom meetings together to know each other. But okay, thank you for sharing some of the huge, immense challenges that you are facing, and just hearing you say can tell a story of how hard it is, and how resilient the team and everybody in the community is. And like Damien said, it's all about getting people through this pandemic and getting ready for them to get back to normalcy, and hopefully that will come soon. But we come to a part where, and can you provide like to people, if they want to donate, where they can do that?
Right. So for the fundraiser, we have two main mechanisms for where people can, well, actually three main mechanisms where people can donate. Well, the easiest option is to just donate directly with no participating in any of the programs that we have. And that's for people who just really want to help and they can donate. And then the other component is through a sort of a food oriented event where we have food makers in New York City. And this is specifically for people in New York City. And this is part of an effort to sort of help build this small community of Vietnamese people in New York City and coming together. So you can, order food, and then the money made from the food event will go into the donation pool. And then the other component, which is the last component, which is the giveaway. And then we, Thảo and I, we've worked with 8 different creators across the US, and they have donated their products to us, be it a very beautiful ceramic pot, or very beautiful clothing. They donated their products to us, and we basically asked everyone to make a suggested donation of $10 for an entry, and then at the end of the week we would select the winner, giveaway. And the idea there is just to basically generate as much interest as possible for people to just donate. And again, we just want people to donate, like even if no one sign up for the 2 programs I just mentioned and just went straight to the donate button, that'd be great, because then we can just send the money to Catalyst and Saigon Children. But hopefully the people find a program interesting enough that they want to participate in and really experience the full sort of FUBU concept we're trying to do here with the Dum Boc Fundraiser.
Exactly. We don't just want your money. You want your money and your attention and your minds, that you come to us again. That's how we got you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think this is a phenomenal way that you guys put it together. I'm just happy to help whenever I can. So to close out the conversation, each organization share what are some of your upcoming plans. Do you have anything that you look forward to? If people want to help, how can they do that? And also, what are some of the best way that we could receive update from your organization? So future plan, what more people can do to help, and how to stay connected with your organization. Caroline, can we start with you?
Sure. Our future is bathrooms. Pretty exciting.
That's essentials.
Yeah. Our families don't have them, so they are currently using not the closest bush, but they're going out to find it somewhere. So the community has selected families in the order that they will be receiving outhouses. So that is our future. And in the meantime, hopefully we get these kids to school. Because we're so rural, we're about 6 hours by car from Ho Chi Minh City. They aren't going back to school because they know that the kids can't go online. So we will keep the kids busy with other projects like picking up garbage. So we're all about the fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then food distributions continue. If the funds are there, we're doing it once a month or twice a month. So the first one during the month is a full package of rice, pantry items, and everything that they would need, hopefully for the month that we normally distribute, including instant noodles and nukmam and cooking oil. And then the second distribution during the month is more root and green vegetables. So
Awesome.
keep it healthy.
And what are some of the best way that we can keep update with Catalyst Foundation?
We are pretty active on social media. So find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have some 20 something that's running that. So
You're in good hands.
they're really good at it, and we appreciate that. But yeah, that's the best way to find us. We're always online to answer messages, but we definitely believe in the power of one. I mean, that's how Catalyst started, was thinking that I could make a difference. And if I made a difference with just one family, that would be enough for me. And it is. And we're just lucky that those families have been more than just one. And so when people are sitting at home and they think that that $10 won't make a difference, $10 buys a month worth of rice for a family, for us. So that's a huge difference.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yep.
I will defer to Angelique for this. Save everybody some time.
For us, the future is to prepare our families to go back to normal. So yes, to keep helping them as much as we can until the restrictions are lifted, and also to focus on our kids to make sure that they are not losing any days of education, and that when school will reopen, everyone can go back to school. So the team will be focusing on that. We are also going to work much more on online safety, because yes, all these kids are learning online, but they need to know how to protect themselves on the internet. So there is a comic book that will be available very soon, and people can get it from our website. So if you want to keep in touch with us, just subscribe to our newsletter on our website, follow us on social media. And if you want to donate, the donate button is very obvious on the website.
Yes, we make sure you cannot miss the donate button ever. Well, thank you so much. Damien, you have anything to add?
No, just if people aren't in a position to donate, if they can follow us, if they can amplify us on social media, that is still so valuable. So even for those people that can't contribute right now, anything is really useful to us. So just a massive thank you to you guys.
Absolutely, thank you. The pleasure is ours. So to recap the conversation, people could follow Catalyst Foundation and Saigon Children by going to the social media and website and sign up onto their newsletter. The plans upcoming for the two organizations is I think it's great. To make sure that people needs in life are being meets regardless of where they live and what is their technological or logistical needs. We just got to get it done to those people so they could go back to life as normal. I wish the two organizations all the best in the future, and hopefully this would not be the only fundraiser. I hope you get way too more fundraisers so you can continue to help people that need the help. And anything you want to add before we close?
I guess two last things. Well, first is I'm very moved throughout this whole conversation. I was very moved and inspired by both of your organization and the work that you guys have been doing for disadvantaged communities in Vietnam. And I'm just very happy to sort of be able to put in some work to provide a little bit of help to y'all. I know the money is not the final answer, but hopefully some money can help make life a little bit easier for some people. And that's ultimately what I think this fundraiser is going to do. And the last thing is that, in doing this fundraiser, I'm just really hoping that it spark inspiration and also just inspire other people to do more like, you know, small scale fundraisers so they can also contribute to you guys and other great nonprofits in Vietnam doing great work. So, you know, so it just, you know, one thing that I really like is there's a proverb, like I'm a proverb guy these days. I really like Vietnamese proverbs, but there's a proverb, it's like, you know, một cây làm chẳng nên non, ba cây chụm lại nên hòn núi cao. It's talks about, you know, one tree may not look like a mountain, but 3 of them together may just look like one. And, you know, if this Đùm Bọc fundraiser can spark a wave for and raise enough awareness for people to come together and do more fundraiser, then I think that would be, you know, a tremendous help. And it will show all of the disadvantaged communities that they are not forgotten, and that, you know, we will always try to do our best for our own people. So.
FUBU. Exactly. Well, I'm gonna end this conversation here on a good